I'm Mowers and Vlogs! Today I'm going to be putting an engine in this Craftsman Lt2000 Carcass of crap that I got from my friend Nick from Medford. As you guys know, for the past 2 days I've actually visited my friend Nick over in Medford because the first time he had a crate full of parts as well as a Kohler Courage XT7 lawnmower engine, which I needed for one of my lawnmower decks that didn't have an engine. Then after that happened, I built a lawnmower, and then he told me to come back the next day because he went crazy on acquiring some tractors. He stole 2 motors out of 2 lawn tractors that he got, of the 5 that he got that day, you know, and he was just going to throw these out to the curb. So I went over yesterday and packed both of these things. They're almost identical, and shoved them both into my van. I got them back, and this one was the best condition one. So unfortunately, both decks were dusky, and so I guess I got 2 haulers. But Craftsman decks are pretty easy to come by, and we'll see what happens as time goes by. Maybe I'll acquire one of those decks or 2 decks somewhere, you know, and maybe we'll get these running as lawnmowers. But because this is a 5-speed, it gives me the opportunity to maybe do a pulley swap on this and make this thing go much faster, you know? So when I put an engine on here, and I'm gonna put the Hurricane Isaias tractor motor on here, that's a 14.5, I believe, Briggs overhead valve engine, that we know it works because it ran and started and all that stuff. And there's bees all over the place. I gotta show you guys something. If you guys follow the channel religiously, like every day, you'll know that a couple of episodes ago, I had a hornet's nest building right there. And I took some brake cleaner and I shot it out, and they all dispersed. And I took the nest, the hive out, and I threw it out. But look, a couple of days later, man, more hornets are gathering on the same exact spot, and it looks like they're trying to build another hive. One of my subscribers told me that I should use WD-40 because they hate the smell. Us humans love the smell. It smells pretty good, you know, for a lubricant, you know. But they said that hornets don't like the smell. But I don't think this will make them disperse all that much. So I'm gonna try some of this contact cleaner for my friends over at Lucas Products. So I'm gonna make them disperse. I'm gonna run away, and then when the coast is clear, I'll come back and I'll spray some WD-40 in that area so that they won't come back again. I'm gonna show you how many there are and what they're doing. So here we go. I don't know what the story is with that area. I don't know why they like it so much, but I'm gonna spray them up right now. Holy cow, they're all around now. All right, before they come back and get me, I'm gonna get some WD-40. Sprayed in this area. Now I'm gonna get the hell out of here. So this engine here is a 14.5 overhead valve, IC quiet. Same kind they put on Toro 1238 XLs and snappers. This I actually got off Agway. It's the Hurricane Isaias tractor, the red, white, and blue one that I got in Wading River with Larry. And I stripped that tractor down because it was trashed. And this engine was the first thing we did on that tractor, was getting this engine running, and it ran just fine before I tore down that carcass and chucked it out. So this engine, I know it works. I don't remember what it actually needs or anything. But we're gonna put this engine on here today and probably try to put some kind of a bigger pulley on here instead of the double stack conventional pulley that has the second pulley on the bottom for the mower deck. Since this doesn't have a mower deck, I want to try to put a bigger pulley on here so it'll go faster because it's a 5-speed. If you had a hydrostatic transmission, doing a pulley swap doesn't make much difference because a hydrostatic, the gears limits the amount of speed. You know what I mean? From the hydraulics, the pump. But being it's a 5-speed transmission, it'll go faster without any kind of limitations, you know, as far as the gears are concerned. So I'm going to find some bolts, and then we'll put this engine on there. So moving it around, I've noticed something. I've cleaned this part up pretty well, but then just moving it around, it appears that it has a little bit of a sump gasket leak right there. So I just wiped it, and you'll see it'll come out again. So it's a pretty decent leak. So should I put the engine on and bolt it all on and all that stuff and just have it leak again, you know? I'm afraid I might have to first, since this is off already, I might have to address it, you know? I don't have a sump gasket, you know, but I think I could put some RTV silicone over it and just fix that leak a little bit. With the sump gasket, you can do that, you know. So unfortunately, I can't do that right now. I need to address the leak, you know, for sure. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to take this into the garage, flip it upside down, take the sump bolts off, take the cover off, clean everything, and put some RTV silicone over the existing gasket just to, you know, because look, as you can see, while I'm talking to you, there's already a leak right there, you know. So this is going to turn into a worse situation if I don't address it. And since I know this engine works, I might as well do it, you know. Back in the garage we go. So I've moved the tractor into the shade. I'm still outside my garage for the lighting, but at least I'm in the shade. While it is September 7th or something like that, right? It's still hot. It's about 90 today. Just from moving it around, a lot of oil has still come out of the sump gasket right there. So I know that sump gasket is done! So I'm going to let this drip out completely, as much as possible. And then I'm going to flip this thing upside down on the tractor here, because this is a good platform for it. And then I'm going to take out the sump bolts, take out the sump, and we're going to check out the condition of the gasket. I don't have a gasket, but I have, in several engine builds, just use RTV to either completely make my own gasket with make a gasket from RTV silicone, right? Or just added some to an existing gasket that has had parts of it that have ripped or deteriorated. You can fill those gaps with the RTV and then go over a small bead of layer of RTV over the existing gasket. And I've never had a problem, as long as you torque down the sump bolts pretty good, you know. And you're supposed to torque them down at about 220 inch-pounds, which converts to 18.3 foot-pounds of torque, which my DeWalt seems to be rated at. So I'll just crank that DeWalt impact until it won't move anymore, and then I'll know it's about those specs, which is good enough for this, you know. I'm looking at this muffler here. This muffler guard, it sticks out quite a bit. Could get in the way of this hood, you know. Maybe I'd have to take this thing out, or maybe if I move it over or something like that. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, let me wait until this stops pouring out, and then we'll flip it upside down, take off the sump cover. as you guys saw, I put quite a bit of that RTV silicone on there. I actually ran out of my RTV silicone, but I remembered that my friend Stephen Becker, one of my subscribers, sent me a big box of stuff, right? And I really appreciate it. In it was a brand new blue RTV gasket maker silicone tube. So Stephen Becker saved me again. I didn't have to go out and get it. So I laid it on pretty thick because there were parts of the gasket that were not there. I'm not surprised that it was leaking so badly. The reason why was because it was missing 2 sump bolts. As I was putting it back on again, right, I noticed there were 2 sump bolts missing, you know? And there was about 3 of them that weren't even tight. You could hand turn them off, so, I mean, turn them out. So that sump cover was destined for Dunskiness. Dunskiness. But it's on there really tight now with a good glob of RTV silicone, so I don't think it'll leak. I think it'll be all right. It was very easy, surprisingly, to mount the engine on. I found 4 engine mounting bolts, and I didn't even have to flip this on its side. It went straight in with my impact. Boom, 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 boom. Boom! It was awesome. Anyway, so that engine is mounted. I also connected the starter cable to the starter, and now I have to find some kind of a wiring harness that will fit this, that'll attach to the stator and lights, right? The magneto. And it's strange because this engine actually has a ground strap to it. I don't understand why it needs a ground strap, because the engine block is mounted to the frame of the tractor, you know? I guess if they wanted a very good contact, they have a ground strap that you attach additionally to the tractor frame. But unless it doesn't start, I think that'll be fine, you know. I'm not going to attach it. I mean, unless it doesn't start, then I'll attach it and see what happens, but I doubt it, you know. But right now I do need to remind me, I need to put oil in here, right? And I need to find a ignition harness, right? And also I need to make sure that that gas tank is clean and not obstructed through the hose to connect to the carburetor. Also, what else do we need? That's right, a battery. I gotta put a battery in this thing. So lots of stuff to do, and let's get to it. I just walked by this area here and I realized that the throttle's not connected. Well, you know what? Let me just connect the throttle. So here's the throttle, and it's smooth and works well, and it's long enough to reach. Stick this Z-bend into the hole, see, and rotate it over here like that. Tighten this, but not until you've figured out this is full choke. Do it on the full choke. Does that push it all the way in? It does push it all the way in. So you want to pull this out and make sure that this is pulled all the way in. Okay, that goes in like that. Push your thing all the way until it stops. Pull this out. And while you're pulling this out, you tighten this. Okay, let's test it. Off choke, lowest throttle, full choke. Perfect. Perfect. Go. Right here, I've got my last battery to put in. This is a battery I got, one of 5 from Advanced Auto Parts. This is my last one. Well, aside from the one that's in my van for my winch, but looks like I might have to go score some new batteries pretty soon. At least for the next tractor, right? Let me find some bolts for this. Got a wiring harness here. Plugged it right in. Adapted it to fit the magneto kill, which is the black one. Red one is going straight to the stator. Orange one goes to the light system. So that's only a 3-position, a 3-wire connection here. Once again, red for stator, orange for lights, black for magneto kill. White one should have been for the solenoid, which of course we don't know if it works or not after we attach the battery. I put 3.3 ounces of SAE 30 in there. I'm sorry, a third of a quart. So now I'm going to top it off with another full quart. It should be a full quart. Today I'm using SAE 30 Plus motor oil from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. Oil. Earl. Oh, lubricates the joints. Earl. Got my brand new battery hooked up. As you can see, there's quite a lot of rustage going on around here. Major grinding if I was gonna repaint this thing. Hey. So I just checked the gas tank. It's actually has some gas in there. So I'm just gonna cut this because this is the 90-degree bend for the kind of carburetors that have a straight nozzle sticking out, right? I'm going to save that for one where I have that situation. Also, since this is a gravity-fed tank, right, you don't need this type of fuel filter because it's just not correct, in my opinion. What does my opinion count? Anyway, I just topped off the fuel, right? Not the fuel. I topped off the Earl. I'm going to put a brand new fuel filter in here. This is the gravity fed type. I bought like 20 of them from China. Really cheap. I think it was like 30 cents a piece or something like that, or less. I'm not sure. Got this new hose over here. This feels like it might be too thick. Well, then I'm just going to have to use a clamp for sure. Sometimes the hoses are so tight that you don't even really need a clamp, but in cases like this it's better to have a clamp on here, and then another clamp for the nozzle over here, the 90-degree bend. This is a gee, it has a solenoid thing on there. I don't know if I forget whether or not that's been cut or not, you know. I'm not sure. Oh, fuel's coming out, so we know that this tank is clear, has some fuel, should be getting to the carburetor right now, but I'm just not sure whether or not this is a solenoid that has the valve cut off or not. I guess there's one way to find out to see if it starts. If it doesn't start, you know, I'll check that solenoid, you know. So we've got the oil in there, we've got fuel. We've connected the throttle. We have the fuel line with a new fuel filter going into the carburetor. We know this engine runs. The throttle is correct. I've got the new battery hooked up. And I have everything all done over here. We took the engine, flipped it upside down. We got 2 more sump bolts, which it was missing. We solidified the gasket in there with RTV silicone gasket maker, did it all around. I've tightened all the sump bolts. We mounted the engine on here with 4 engine mounting bolts, filled it with Earl. It doesn't appear to leak. I've got the wiring harness for the ignition going to the stator, the lights, and the magneto kill wire. So I guess the true test right now is to see whether or not this damn thing will crank. Let's see if it cranks, because then we'll know well, I know the starter works, but we'll know if the switches work here, right? So I've got the brake on, and I'm just gonna crank it and see if it cranks. Hey, it cranks. So we know that the switch works, solenoid works, battery works, starter works. But it's not cranking very fast, right? Wouldn't you think? Anyway, so look, let me just choke it, all right? And got fuel, right? So here we go. Okay, fellas, so that was easy. Just put on the regular double stack pulley on there. I found a crankshaft bolt that fit just perfectly, and I noticed that the belt was super loose, so I traced it all the way back there, right? And I says, oh, the belt came off of the transmission pulley. And then I figured out why by looking at all these marks of tears and rips and stuff on the belt. I mean, what is going on with that? You know what I mean? And so, check out the transmission pulley. Holy cow! This transmission pulley is Dunsky! That's right. Transmission pulley is Dunsky. So what am I gonna do now? All right, there's a few things we could do. We can swap the transmission out with another transmission. We could try to remove that transmission pulley and put another one on there. Or I could do what I did with the desert sand project. I can find a smaller pulley and bolt it onto here and get a shorter belt. That would make it go faster. Hey? But that's for another episode, because there's only so many hours in the day that you can be wrenching, you know what I mean? You gotta have your regular life too, like have lunch, sleep, watch some TV. You can't be wrenching all day, especially when some of you guys aren't buying my stickers anymore. I haven't sold a sticker in like a week. Hey, you guys gotta support the channel. You gotta buy a sticker or contribute to the channel. Donate $1 or $2. PayPal.me/mowers and blowers. Remember, I don't have a job. This is my only form of income. So if you want to still keep seeing videos every day, do your part. Contribute to the channel. We did quite a lot today already. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see if it moves forward or backwards. But I am pretty stoked that we got that engine sump cover gasket fixed so it doesn't leak anymore. And very stoked that it just fired up just like that. No problem, you know? New battery, all that other jazz. You guys saw the whole video and did quite a bit. We just gotta figure out that transmission pulley in the next episode. But looks like we might be able to drive this thing pretty soon, as long as I get that figured out. I do have another transmission or two in the back, but I want to make sure that it's the side shifting ones and not the center between the leg shifter, and also that it's a 5-speed too, because I could have a couple of hydros, you know, hydrostatic ones, which wouldn't fit on this, you know, unless I swapped it into a hydro. But I think there's more linkage things that are different from the 5-speed or 6-speed. But I think I'm gonna try that smaller pulley, either welded on or bolted onto this one. I think that would work, you know, and that would also let this tractor go faster. But like I said, we'll work on that tomorrow. We'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.
See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.